So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, good to see everybody. And it is time to move. I'm Dave Lowe. I'm the CEO of ISI Federal. We help with data marketing, business development. That's our job. And I am dressed in my loud outfit in honor of Rafael, the doctor, the good doctor, Rafael Marrero. I figured I'd change it up a little bit today just to be hilarious and stupid. How you like that? So with that, we've been helping companies since 2009, even in our fantastically dressed outfits, usually in business attire, as you know. And since then, we have $440 million in direct and indirect sales. And what that means is we help get the contracts and then sell on those contracts, as market your company to 64 million different contracts that we do research on, 1.2 million federal contacts, 3.1 million vendor contacts, 132,000 program managers, 70,000 active buyers. And that's why we're here. And Sally, we'll talk about that in a little bit because we did a little work yesterday on that very subject. We do professional business development support. On the right-hand side, you can see all of the things that are under the ISI Federal umbrella: Gov Contacts, Gov Brief, BFedCon, beta.SAM.gov. If you're looking for a solution for that, that's in beta right now, as a matter of fact. A Quick Fuse that monitors your GSA e-buy. And in fact, Quick Fuse gets you more federal business, and you can test drive it for 3 days. And if you stay with it for a year and you don't sell 5 times as much as you invested in Quick Fuse, it is all refunded to you. We've never had to refund a dime. So there you go. The other thing we're doing right now is we're doing customer engagement, is we're pushing the information out to the top 2 contacts at each location. We'll do the research, we'll identify the people, do personal introductions to your company, and we'll respond for you and respond from your personal assistant. So it's all handled by ISI Federal. And I'm telling you, we have meetings that are being scheduled right this minute as a result of these campaigns. And with us, we have the good doctor. Dr. Rafael Marrero is in the house, helps folks with socioeconomic certifications. What does that mean, Rafael Marrero?
It means that if you're a small business, Dave, and there's an opportunity to align yourself and position yourself in order to win set-aside contracts and help the government fulfill its obligations of driving small business participation for women, for veterans, for companies located in historically underutilized business zones or financially distressed areas, and also companies owned by individuals that are economically disadvantaged. So those are the programs that we help with, and also the Federal Department of Transportation DBE programs. That's what the socioeconomic certifications are.
And you also help with funding, don't you?
That's correct. We do small business financing in all forms, whether it's 504 loans, 7A loans, asset-based lending, and also structured deals to buy companies and do mergers and acquisitions. I help companies as an economist structure the economic feasibility analysis, put together the plan to acquire them, see if we can capture and generate revenue through that acquisition, and whether that's going to be beneficial to the investors or not.
Fantastic. And that's an important thing nowadays. And we also have GSA Logic Man, Jamie Zell, who helps folks get GSA contracts and manage them, by the way. So tell us about GSA contracts very briefly. We'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. But tell us what a GSA contract is and why somebody might need one.
Sure thing, Dave. GSA contract is a purchasing vehicle. It's the structure-wise within the federal government, it's the oldest and most commonly used purchasing vehicle. It's a way to streamline the acquisition product process and make it easier for federal buyers to buy from you. We help our clients get their GSA schedule, also known as a GSA contract, and then throughout its life cycle, which is 20 years, we help them manage that, keep it current, up to date, and make sure things are correct and dot the I's and cross the T's.
Love it, love it, love it. As usual, it's always great to see you, man. We've been working together for over 10 years now. That's crazy in and of itself. I cannot believe it's been that long. And then we have Mr. Greg Clark down in South Florida, along with Rafael Marrero, not just a little bit north of Rafa. And Greg, you help folks with their proposals. So what does that mean? Uh-oh. First things first, you have to unmute yourself.
Dave, he proposes to people. No, I'm just kidding.
How many
It means
proposals?
agencies put out solicitations for the things that you do and where you do them, and you'd like to increase your chances of winning that work.
That's fantastic. And you actually like beta.SAM.gov. We'll talk about how demented that is in a few minutes. But we also have Liz DeRosa, the social media maven. She finally made it on. Welcome, Liz. Welcome, Liz. Uh-oh, unmute yourself. Man, need some instructions on how to do these things. Go ahead, Liz.
Stop. So great to be here. I've got 57,000 connections on the major social media platforms. And what I can do for you is brand messaging, leveling up on LinkedIn, and helping you find talent for your RFP or direct hire.
Yep. And marketing on LinkedIn is a great tool, and research on LinkedIn as well is a great tool, especially in the government. And we also have a super uber connector with us, Sally White with Echo Wolf Solutions. We met on VFedCon, didn't we, Sally?
We did. So
Yep.
I must say, Dave and his team have seriously changed my life and the life of my clients. So right before VFedCon, my clients had hired Echo Wolf to help them in the government space. And I'd done some 8A stuff, a little bit dabbled. But thanks to Liz and Greg Clark and so many others, especially Dave and his team, we've now had several conference calls, and they're utilizing ISI and VFedCon. And I'm so happy to be here. I can't say enough about this organization. I'm just really grateful to be part of it. Thank you.
Well, we love it. We love the fact that you're here. And didn't you flame me for not having enough women involved originally? Was that you?
I don't know. I don't know if that was me, but definitely diversity in thoughts, ethnicity, gender is all welcome.
I lost my speaker for a minute. I totally missed that. Anyway, I thought it was you that maybe it wasn't you that flamed. It'd be FedCon because we didn't have enough speakers. Anyway, but now she's deeply involved, and we love it because what I love is when Sally gets a hold of something, she loves to dive down into specific opportunities, specific relationships, and she does like a crazy connecting. She knows folks throughout a lot of people in the government as well, and we love having you on board. So, we'll be talking and this will be a different kind of thing. But before we go into what we're after today, because I'm going to throw some curveballs to everybody here. It's going to be fun. Little bit about this. It's always free. Over 500 registered every second Tuesday at 11 a.m. And unless I screw it up like I did last month, with dialogue with federal experts like Rafa, like Jamie, like Greg, like Sally, like Liz, like other folks that are going to be coming on board. We got one that's coming up on compliance with Sean May. Those folks that you don't know, Sean May, I thought he was going to be here today. I wasn't sure if he's going to make it. Anyway, we get real about how things work. We're not going to blow sunshine because there's plenty of people blowing sunshine. Isn't there, Jamie Zell?
Absolutely. Heavy and thick and setting false expectations.
Absolutely. So we'll show off a little bit of ISI Federal. Before we get into this, if we do have anybody from the government that has showed up, this event is not affiliated with GSA or any other agencies provided to you, government people, for audience and the audience for informational purposes only. And any participation in this briefing by government people is not an indication or endorsement to purchase from anybody. This gives them permission to be able to talk so that we don't have to be roping people in. So real quick, if you do like the way that my shirt looks today, and everybody has been commenting on how fantastic it is, you can make it larger by grabbing this little bar. This little bar thing could be on the side, could be above, but you can make us larger. You can make us disappear altogether if you want to. You can open up the panel on the right-hand side. You can raise your hand. You can chat a question. You can also, if you called in on the phone, make sure that you put in your PIN so that we can unmute you. And there are handouts there. There are 4 handouts, I do believe. The 90-second challenge, we'll talk about that in a minute. Winnable opportunity matrix, we'll talk about that in a minute. And ISI Federal capabilities, because we're just good at what we do. And the Going for Gold ebook that we are going to be revising with Dr. Marrero as a co-authored, since he's already a superstar author of his book. Where's your book? Where is it? I don't have it with me right at the second. There it is. La Salsa Secreta. How you like that from my hey, I'm getting better. I know much more than just Jess. And you need to unmute yourself if you want to
Yeah,
speak.
whenever you wear that shirt, it comes out better. You roll your R's.
Roll Mars. All right. So why are you here today, all you crazy people that decided to join us today? Let me get my polls, if I can get my polls working here. Hey, here we go. Why are you here today? Whoa, shoot. I got to do it. I did it before I could. So it was so fast that nobody responded. That's how good I am today. All right. But we'll figure out why you're here another time, because I can't relaunch it. We're all here because we want to win federal contracts, for crying out loud. And there's $1.4 trillion in the 2020 budget, of which they have not spent 30% yet. So there you go. There's money to be had. And guess what? It all has to be spent by the end of September, not 78 days. I didn't adjust that one. But 81% of the new contracts happened in the last 90 days. And we are in the last 50 days. But guess what they say, Jamie Zell? Get yourself a GSA contract. People are talking about this, and they'll say, hey, get your GSA contract, and you can just wee right into it. Right, Jamie?
Hey, the clouds open up and money falls from the sky. All you need is a rake and a wheelbarrow and go out there and collect it up. That's what some people will tell you.
That's what some people will tell you, but we're not going to tell you that here, because the number one thing the government tells you what to do, what do they tell you, Greg? What do they tell you what to do? Uh-oh. Unmute yourself.
Monitor beta.SAM.
Monitor beta.SAM.gov, right? Because guess what? It's just that easy. It's just easy. Just selling to the government. Just watch beta.SAM.gov. So I'm going to pass this off to you guys. You can download this, take the 90-second challenge, but we're going to walk through this real quick so that we did this last month as well. But I'm going to tell you, there's opportunities and there's rewards, right? Opportunities showing up on beta.SAM.gov. Both of these you can see on beta.SAM.gov. If you do those search results, you will find 124,362 results of solicitations in fiscal year 2019. We're almost to the end of 2020, but I wanted to make sure that you could see this within the framework of a fiscal year. Then we say, oh, if you look at awards, there's 10,748,714, which gives us a difference of 10,655,602. Now, you should be asking yourself, what is happening here? In the words of Baltimore people, something's not right, hon. In case you don't know what that is, that's Paul Marie's, hon. And guess what happens in Baltimore when something's not right? We look just like this, because something is just not right. So the question is, if you have lots of competition, definitely not socially distanced competition, by the way. Too many people in the room at the same time. That's the problem, Rafael Marrero, isn't it? So
Sure,
if the other 98%, most of these have less than 5 competitors. Is that what you find most of the time? You too, Greg. Is that the number that you usually find on beta.sam.gov as competitors? 5 or less?
A lot more than that.
Nay, that's right. Even Greg, who likes beta.sam.gov, no accounting for poor taste. So now we have Kevin Hart even saying, what is going on? I almost put up what you talking about, Willis? But most people wouldn't even know what that is. So anyhow, what's your plan? If 98% of them are going to 5 or fewer competitors and only 2% are going to beta.sam.gov, what is your plan? So I guess really the question is, Liz, now you remember being in high school, right, Liz?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and if you like somebody in high school, you're asking the question, you say, what's in the way of the other ones? If you're not one of the 5, it's because they don't know and like and trust you. They don't even know that
You don't exist. Absolutely.
They don't know you. They don't know how to get to you. And if you go to and download this is the winnable opportunity matrix. It's what we use to take a look and say, how can we get in the green? We want to be one of the people they know, like, and trust. Is it that complicated to think about people that buy from people they know, like, and trust? You do it, I do it, government people do it, all of us do it. grab this. It's free. You can download it. It's part of our process that we use to say, hey, how do we start getting ourselves into the green with the people on the right-hand side, the contracting officers, the program managers, technical representatives, and administrators. They're the 4 people that are in the account. There's other influencers potentially, but you can do this with any influencer. But the 2 that matter most, one side of the house, program people, program managers, responsible for getting the work done, and buyers, the people that are responsible for executing the contract and paying your company. That's what they do. So we want to talk about getting you into the green with these folks. And so how we do this is we say, hey, we want to know early, beforehand. Sally, we did this yesterday. You're looking at a project for somebody where, well, and we'll talk about this into some detail, but they're looking at a project that's coming out, what, 11/20/21?
Right, 21. So it's going to be posted 4/21, and then it's awarded 11/21. So what do we do?
So what do you do? So we're going to be looking at it early. We want to get in early. We want to influence the process. Did you know you could do that? You can influence the process. Guess what? The incumbent is definitely working to influence the process to minimize the competition so that it's 1 of 5 or fewer, because that's where we most of us want to live. And we want to drive the turnaround down. We see this happen in September anyway, don't we, Greg? We usually see stuff come out. It's coming out in 45 days or give you some 30 days. When you get into September, that is shrinking to as few as 24 hours, one day.
Absolutely.
We've had that happen where we had a $225,000 opportunity with Department of State, came out on a Sunday at 11 a.m., was due on a Monday at 11 a.m. If you didn't know about it beforehand, if you didn't know it was coming, you could not respond. So,
but we kind of like those, Dave. We kind of like those. The harder they are, the less competition. So now we're playing in your world.
Exactly right. So let me ask you this. If 1 in 5 are being circulated between 1 of 5 competitors, how important is it to reaching decision makers before the requirement is released? Is it critically important? Is it very important? Is it somewhat important, or is it not important because they put everything on FBO? I mean, beta.SAM.gov, God forbid. So here we go. Look at this. They were paying attention. I actually didn't close the poll down before this started, so there you go. Another 5, 4, 3, 2. You can do it. It's painless, and boom, there you go. That not bad. 85 and 15%. It is critically important. It is very important. So who are we talking about here? One of these people are the contracting officers, the buyers. That's who we're going to be talking about today. We can talk about program managers, reaching program managers, but today and through the end of September, it's all about reaching buyers. Guess what? They're busy. And I mean, they're freaking busy right now. They don't want to teach you how to do business in the marketplace, and they do not like new things because they are risk averse. It's the nature of who they are. They're not into cutting edge stuff. They're experts in moving paper, not to diminish what they do, right, Rafael Marrero? Because guess what? What does that paperwork have associated with it?
Dinero.
That's right. That's right.
Dinero's Chuck.
That's it. That's it.
That's right, baby. And so they select the purchasing mechanism, which includes potentially not going out to everybody and using an 8A, right, Rafa? And he's on the phone.
About that.
It's all right. He'll be back in a minute. So they select the purchasing mechanisms. They develop the contract documents, and I'm muting you, Rafa. Hang on. All right. Muted. He's muted. All right. So with that, they want the fastest way to purchase, and easy is good. So we want to make it easy for them, right, Greg? To buy from them. So
As easy as possible.
So the question that I have for everybody, and this is for the whole panel, is how do we drive a mutually beneficial outcome? An outcome that's mutually beneficial for you and the buyer, for both of you, because that makes it a win-win, right? That goes back to Stephen Covey land from years ago, right? So we're going to talk about a recompete opportunity, a new opportunity, because there's a difference between those, and a commodity versus a niche-oriented pitch, right? So you can have your office supplies, you can have your that is commoditized, or you can be very, very niche-oriented with a very specific software package or a very specific tactical piece of gear that that you want to pitch. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And on the right-hand side, we're going to drive from an unknown. That's the first thing. You got to know who they are. But we're going to drive from unknown into the green, where they know who you are, and you start to get some preferential treatment. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Sally Wolf, let's talk about the one that we talked about yesterday, because that was a really cool outcome. Because tell us about the group that you're representing.
Sure. So I have a client who does some really interesting things in automation and electronic work package, merged reality, etc. So I've been researching in Navy.gov and DoD, and there's no place in any sort of the long-range forecast where it says we need a merged reality solution. They're going to say something like we need a digitization project, right? So we found another one yesterday with Indian Health Services, and we found out it was going to be coming available in 2021. And thanks to Dave's help, we were able to find out who the contracting officer is. And again, thanks to Dave's help, he said, Sally, do you know that this guy has had 755 contracts? And I said, whoa. So he sort of guided me in how to do that. And we started thinking about, is he going to buy from my little company, my small minority-owned business company? Probably not. However, might he be interested in looking at a set-aside opportunity? So Dave and I basically, by looking at all the data, and that's a really important thing he brought, we can't strategize unless we have the facts. So we need to make data-based decisions based on strategies, based on data that doesn't necessarily come from SAM.gov. So we came up with a strategy with 5 things. I called my customer, I emailed them because I obviously want to get them engaged, and we have a plan now to contact the contracting officer to either partner and team with them because they have a really cool technology that might help this large incumbent get more business, not only for IHS, but for the future. But we also created a way to create a relationship with this person beyond LinkedIn and the like.
And inject yourself into the conversation so that you can start to take a look at being able to, first of all, they don't have any, so the guy's name's Paul, right? Isn't that the guy's name? Right. So Paul doesn't know who you are. So the first thing is, if it's unknown, they're in the red. And you might, as a salesperson, say, well, we don't really care about the buyer because it's really the program people that really want to. No, I'm telling you, I got shot by a buyer before, and to the tune of $6.2 million. So do not ignore the buyer or their ability to influence the opportunity. And we want to get ourselves into the green there. So with that, Sally, one of the things that happened there is we talked about it and said, hey, what is it we're trying to get to do? So getting back to this, what in a recompeted opportunity, and Greg, I want to get your input on this too, because you're great at this and looking at recompetes and saying, hey, we got strong quals in this recompete, we can win, right? So what do buyers need? So what do buyers need from you or from us? And then what do we need so that and where do we start and how do we get it? So what are buyers looking for, Greg, when they're in a recompete opportunity? What are buyers looking for?
In a recompete of a contract that's ending?
Yep.
Well, it depends on if they like the incumbent or not.
Great. Perfect answer. Unscripted. Perfect answer. I knew you were going to say that. So if they like the incumbent, because there's only a couple of options, right? They don't like the incumbent or they do like the incumbent. That's it. If they like the incumbent, the chances are they're going to figure out a way to keep that incumbent. Now, so what you need to know is if they like that incumbent. Very easy to do when you're standing face to face with people. Very difficult to do in this new virtual world where you can't see them. If you're on the phone with them and you're really, really good at detecting voice inflections, you might be able to figure out if they like them. But I flat out say, look, hey, do we have a shot at this? I'll ask them, do we have a shot? And if they have a canned answer like, well, we would love, we always want to have as much competition as possible. That's a canned answer. That is definitely by the book. But if they say something like, so if they say something like that canned answer, I'm leaning towards that. I don't really have a shot. Then
Can I add to that?
Yep.
So one of the things that Dave also encouraged me to do is we did some research yesterday, and we found out that our incumbent is very entrenched in the Navajo Nation. They give money. They're aligned with the Arizona Tribal Council. I mean, these people are totally relationship oriented, and we're pretty sure our guy Paul loves the incumbent, the company who does the computer services. So because we're pretty sure of that, because of the data, we're pretty sure that he's not going to go another direction. But that intel gives us an opportunity to say, hey, we know that, you know, whatever our pitch ends up being.
And that becomes, you already made the determination they're probably not going to lose. They're probably not going to switch. So then you're going to, where you start is determined from that answer. So you said, hey, well, we can go to the prime. Why can't you go to the prime? Because guess what? You start going to the prime and say, hey, we're talking with Paul about this, and we wanted them to include this, because you can still get there through Paul. And the program manager, by the way, ask Paul who the program manager is too. But the idea is that's where you need to start. You start with the contracting officer, and then you determine whether or not that you can win, or there's a good chance of winning. And then you can get in front, and then you get in front of those folks to say, hey, we have something that's of value. So that's a recompete opportunity. Anybody want to throw in on, does everybody understand what a recompete opportunity is? There's a contract, usually 1 year plus 4 options, that is at the end of its life, right? This particular one is ending in November 2021, which means that they're going to start the recompete in March of 2021, if they're on time, and they're often not. But if they do, that's what the expectation is. So does everybody understand that? Anybody want to have any questions about a recompeted opportunity, number one, or anybody want to throw in on a recompete opportunity and how you can compete for it?
Instead of David, your question of do we have a chance, you're going to get the canned answer. But if you say, how's the incumbent been performing? They're going to hesitate if they haven't been performing well. If they've been great, there's going to be no hesitation. They're going to tell you that.
Yeah.
But the best thing to remember is don't forget to shut up after you ask your question.
That's salesperson, one of the salespeople's biggest mistakes. First one that talks loses. Great advice, Greg. Love it, love it, love it. Anything else? Anybody else want to throw in on a recompete opportunity? All right, so I'm going to go on to the next one, which is a new opportunity. So what a new opportunity means, that it is fresh. There is no incumbent. So that's one of the first questions that you should ask if you see something post, right? Especially if it's an RFI, right? Early on, that's early before RFP. So early request for information is what that stands for. So somebody comes and says, we're looking for solutions on this. The first question that I always ask is it a new opportunity, is it a recompete? Because then that's to the contracting officer as well, right, guys?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's where you want to ask that question. So we ask the contracting officer, so what do they need from you if it's a new opportunity? Anybody want to throw in on a new opportunity, what buyers need from you? Go ahead, Rafa. Oh, I need to unmute you. Sorry. You got mutated. Hold on. Self-muted. You're self-muted, man. There you go.
No, you had me on mute. You had me on mute. when I got the call, you muted me. All right. So I think it's important at the very beginning of the sales cycle, right? You need to look at this as a vendor relationship management and a vendor management cycle. So if you're a buyer, whether it's in a large private supply chain or public supply chain, you really want to understand how much risk that person or that entity poses to your supply chain, right? Whether it's a professional service or a tangible good, right, or a product, you want to know exactly what their supply chain is made of. Will there be any interruptions to that supply chain? Do they have the capabilities, the financial wherewithal? Can they scale out? If I give them a contract, will it tip them over the edge? Will it make them not be able to deliver on time, on budget, with a scope compliant product? So So it's very important at the very beginning of the cycle, at the sources sought stage, way before the RFI, the sources sought stage, to really throw your name in the hat for consideration and create a lasting first impression by giving them a full, a very powerful first image of your company. You know, what your capabilities, your core competencies truly are. What is your footprint? What is your annual revenue? How many employees do you have? Where are they located? Can you serve a specific geographic area? Can you provide the kind of white space coverage that they need? What is your staff? What is your risk management plan in case you are awarded or considered for an award? These are some of the things that you need to address early on in the game. And, you know, your Kung Fu has to be strong. Your SAM profile has to be strong. Your capability statement has to be strong. If you're certified, even better, right? As a socioeconomic certification, you have the technical proficiency to back up the claims that you're about to make to the government and say, you know what, I am the best IT shop south of whatever, right? You have the Oracle, you know, database administrators or the programmers or the whatever makers of widgets that you need to have in order to make that, to fit the bill. These things are very important. So you need to look good on paper, present a strong case from the very beginning before the sales cycle officially begins, because it all starts with a market survey, and you can positively impact and ethically impact the government's acquisition strategy by positioning yourself and your firm ahead of time to own that spot.
So I love that. So what you need is you need a good capabilities statement. Your SAM record needs to be solid. All this
Right.
has to be done. I can't tell you how many people I talk to in a given week that say, I'm ready to go. I got my SAM record. Like, dude.
No, you're not. Yeah, no, you're not.
You're not even close to ready. And the problem is you think that you're ready. And then you go in there and you look like a moron. Just saying. Not saying that everybody on this call is a moron. I'm saying you look like one if you don't do it right. So, told you we're not blowing sunshine. So, with that, where do you start with that? You start with condensing your capabilities, making sure that everything looks right. And Rob, I knew Rob was going to weigh in on this because he does a great job at creating those capabilities, professional capability statements, slide decks, so that you're ready to go in and you look like you belong. You need to look like you belong. And then where you start with somebody like Rafa to help you do that. And then how do you get to where you want to go, which is that mutually beneficial conclusion for both you and the buyer. You get that by taking that information and using it proactively. Nobody's going to call you from your SAM record. Nobody's calling you. And nobody's calling you if you get your GSA contract, Jamie Zell. I know you work hard on that. It's a tool. I love this. Rafa always says, you know, it's like a gym membership. That's even better than a ticket to the dance, because just about everybody can dance, even if they're just like the hitch kind of thing. Keep it right there.
Yeah, but if you can't salsa, you're done.
But you got to work out. Go ahead, Sally.
So Raphael, he not only looks like he belongs, but he sounds like he belongs. And as I listened to him talk, and I literally took down every single word, when I first started joining these calls, I went, wow, that person sounds amazing, or that person sounds good. I didn't sound amazing. And I didn't want to come across like, hi, I want to know how to do business with the Navy, because they immediately disqualify you. And on Friday, I have to say, it's taken from January with a lot of coaching from Dave and all of you. So Friday night, I had one of those calls, one of those momentous calls where I nailed it. I mean, I basically said, I've been reviewing all the Navy and the DoD reference materials. I understand their strategy. I know their Navy modernization project. I have this customer who I believe is in line with it and in concert. I've gone to my PTACs, I've attended VFedCon, and now I'm ready to have someone like you, someone who understands government contracting, be able to say, Sally, your solutions exactly map with this, or they don't, or you could be a perhaps sub to a prime. And you can tell when you have it. And the only reason that we can sound like we belong is if we listen and learn from people like Raphael and Chris, Jamie and Dave and Greg and Liz, practice and read and research. We have to know our stuff, and it has to be part of our DNA, or they will hear it, smell it, see it, and they immediately, what do they say? Go, have you talked to your local PTAC, right? If they say that to me, I know I haven't nailed it.
or, you know, the small business liaison.
Yeah, talk to the small business liaison. Go to SAM.gov.
There it is. There's the trifecta for the biggest blow-offs you can possibly get.
I know I
It's right
didn't have
there.
them at hello. I know
And
I didn't have them.
You didn't have them at hello. You didn't knock them off centered. You didn't occupy that little space in here to be able to say, hey, we want to. That's what we're after, by the way. We're after gathering a small bit of that real estate in the brain to get things going. So now here, I'm going to ask the question: what is in the way of you reaching the outcome that you don't that you both want? First of all, it's freaking impossible to build a relationship with somebody if you don't know who they are. And then secondarily, if you don't know how to get to them. And Sally, that was a great story since January. Great work. And what I love about Sally, it doesn't take her very long to become an expert in what she does and be able to talk the talk.
She's a quick study.
Yep. And you can answer as many of these as you want, but all of these are important for you, right? You don't know who the buyers are, don't know how to reach the buyers, or the buyers won't talk to you. So all of those things you just said, Sally. So with that, we're going to give you another 5, 4, 3, 2. You can do it. It's absolutely painless. 1, 0, boom. All right, here we go. So here's the results. 40, 60, 40. Man, that was weird. That somebody must have came in right in the last time because they were all kind of odd numbers, and then somebody made them all even. All right, there you go. Just goes to show you what happens. All right, so now let's talk about commodity versus niche-oriented offerings, because maybe you have a combination of both. It could be products, it could be services. By the way, there's commoditized services like CPA firms, commoditized, right? And then you have office supplies, super commoditized, right? And then computers and things like that are commodity purchases where they're used to buying these things on a regular basis. Go ahead, Rafa, you got something to say?
No, I was just stretching out. Sorry.
Ah,
I was just going like this.
Going like this.
Like you're at an auction, like Raphael was like, he just bid on a $10,000 prize because he was stretching.
That's right. Yeah, he just bought that. Just bought that.
Not 10,000, but yes.
Raphael.
I bought a at the golf tournament once. I bought a foursome for the Blue Monster once because I raised my during an auction.
There you go. Yep. So there you have it. So commodity versus niche oriented things. Greg, you do a lot of bids for these types of things. Commoditized purchases from a service standpoint, that's kind of like butts and seats, right? Because there isn't a real difference. Do you have a different approach between commodity versus niche when you're responding?
In responding to an actual solicitation?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it obviously it's like you look for. There's not going to be a lot of competition if it's really narrow, and there's a lot of agencies buy a lot of things, but there's only a couple of potential people who provide it. Commodity, if it's janitorial services, and there's 100 million janitorial companies in this country, it's got to be pretty attractive because the competition is going to be immense. There's got to be something that sets it apart that's going to allow you to set yourself apart. And that's not going to be just pride that I have a good janitorial company. Something in solicitation that they're looking for has to speak to you.
And that's part of the storytelling piece that you're doing with the capability statement that you're doing online, right? That you're putting forward in the proposal, right? You're telling that story of why you are the best.
And it gets to, this is a book called Selling the Invisible. It's by Harry Beckwith. I read this years ago. I was doing consulting for my brother's company in the cell phone market and helping with cell phone sales. And back in the day, cell phones, before they were smart, right? The cell phone was a cell phone. You answered the phone, that was it. And they were becoming very popular. And the cool thing about this is it talks specifically about products like that. And the biggest difference when you're dealing with a commodity sale is you. That's it. And give them a reason to use. One of the things that we say with commodity sales is, hey, you got to buy it from somebody. Give me a shot. I'll knock your socks off and I'll deliver better. But I can't do it if you don't give me a shot. And that's what we want to do. We want to push that message out, and we build those relationships. So what the buyers need is, from a commodity standpoint, is they need to know that you really want the business. And sometimes it's price driven, and sometimes it's not. They're still price oriented. If it's commoditized, they have to cover their butt, but they do want the deliverable, and they want it to be easy. They want it to go smoothly. And there's a value to it. And we talked about this too yesterday. If price is an issue, the value is not clear. And that goes to making sure that they know your value in the situation. So that's what they need. And when it comes to a niche, from a niche side, I'll talk a little bit about a very niche oriented sale. And that is mainframe modernization. You either have a mainframe or you don't. That's it. And it's very niche oriented. There's only so many mainframes still in operation in the federal government, more than you would think in this day and age. And they have a significant problem. It's like sewer pipes. Nobody wants to touch them because they just work. But there's some problems with them, especially in integration to the cloud. They will not. So you need a process to get off of that. So marketing in a niche-oriented market is a different play than commodity. You have to build the value of your solution. It could be a new technology that's also niche-oriented, something new, niche, both of those. New technology, you're going to bring that to the marketplace, and you want to, Rafa, you called it out, is what is it you are doing that's going to fit in their world? What are you doing for them? And that's education. Education. Look like you belong, and educate them in the process. That's why we use briefings. When we do briefings, interagency briefings, push it out there, letting them know, hey, this exists. It's a new contract vehicle. A lot of times we are marketing a new contract vehicle so they can buy something that's niche oriented that they didn't even know existed or they could buy. So what do you need to do? Throw this out for everybody as well. What do you need to do? Where do you start and how do you get it? And maybe you can pick a commodity or niche. How would you do it with if you have a niche oriented? Sally, you mentioned it. You had the one that's very niche oriented, and what you did. What do you recommend for people to do for that, and where do they start?
So one of the things I've been doing is I go to many, I sort of said something about PTAC and the small business offices, but I go to every one of those I'm invited to, because what happens is like this: I see everyone on the panels, I see everyone on the site, and while I'm listening and talking and taking notes, I'm also sending LinkedIn comments. So I've been connecting with like senior executives, executives in the Navy, executives in VA, and I'll send a note saying, well put, thank you for your valuable information, thank you for taking time. So I always start with a little comment and a message, and they always respond and they always connect with my LinkedIn. So that's the first thing I do. I started developing a relationship on LinkedIn. The second thing I did that was really effective last week is I started researching. So I follow on Twitter with Liz's coaching and guidance from her amazing company. I'm doing more on social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and the like. And so I start following on Twitter, and I see this little sort of innocuous note about transformational marketplace. So I went, ooh. So I go in there and I look at this transformational marketplace. There are about 200 suppliers, and they all have the most beautiful CAPE statements, value statements. I mean, they're doing things like drones and serious AI on, warfighter tanks. So nothing I know about, nor do my customers do. But I thought, how do I get in here? So I sent it to Dave, and he's like, ooh, you got to get in there. So we basically figured out a way. We contacted these individual companies, a couple of them, and I said, hi, I'm Sally White. I work at EcoWolf Solutions. Yes, I have a wolf. You have no reason to talk to me except that I'm really committed. I learn fast, and I'm very interested in what you're doing. So two of the 5 I called spent about 15 minutes with me, and I've sent them a thank you, and they gave me who I should talk to. And one said, based on your EcoWolf and who you're working with Data Glance, I want more information, and I think maybe you could help us as a prime. So this guy, they're a company out of Aloha, Hawaii, so Aloha Mahalo, and they basically have GSA vehicles, they're 8A, so they have all these criteria, and they think that my little company might have, that I'm repping for, might have AI solutions that might help them, so he wants to do a call. So long way of handling it. There is always a way in. And if it's not evident to you, grab one of us. Liz is great. I know she'll get on the phone with you. I'll get on the phone with you and support. Greg does, Jamie, Raphael, and so does Dave. And yeah, we have companies and businesses, but we're all about supporting and helping you. So pick up the phone, link in, or ask us so we can collaborate, have an ideation, imaginary session to help you.
And that's absolutely true. And to your point, you went out and you reached out to the people that mattered. That's the number one thing. And if there's anything that I would say is that find that group of that person and find the influencers around that person. And usually it's not that difficult because there's so many different avenues to get to people. But if you identify the purchasing person, just like we did with Paul, right? If we know who Paul is, number one issue. Find out all the Pauls that are out there, because there's plenty of other Pauls. And that one Paul guy was 778 contracts. How many, what was that worth? Like $15 million or something ridiculous that Paul just alone handled or something?
I would say it's more like 1.2 billion as I started digging down in them.
1.2 billion. I'm sorry. I undercut it a little bit.
Quite a while. No, it's over a while, but very important.
It's crazy. It's crazy the number of dollars that are associated with the people that do contracting in the government. And I'm talking about the contracting officers. So I am going to ask a question, which is self-serving entirely, which is, Dave, please help me. Please help me. Find decision makers. Help me get in front of decision makers or get my message across to decision makers. 1, 2, or 3. Whatever you want, we do all 3 of those things. Because guess what? That's where it begins. It begins with identifying who those decision makers are and then developing the framework to get you in front of those decision makers. So we can do all of those things. And with that, we're going to give you, we're going to run short because I got whole things to ask. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 50% have voted, straight up 50%. That's crazy. Okay. All right. So we're going to close that out. And there you go. That's how many people need some help from me. I appreciate that. And we will definitely follow up with you. So now let's talk about the contracting officers, making it easy for them to buy from you. Clear, concise capability statement. SAM is up to date. And your socioeconomic set-asides, like what type of set-asides are there, Rafael Marrero?
All kinds. You got 8A, like women-owned, veteran-owned, hubs-owned, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, right.
All of those. And if you can get them all, you're called a purple unicorn. The same. So what happens is Rafael Marrero helps with this. Getting the socioeconomic certifications, the quiver in your tool box to say, we can help you with this checkbox and this checkbox. The buyers are the ones that care about those checkboxes. Doing business with minorities, doing business in hub zones, because guess what? None of them meet their hub zone requirements. Service disabled, if you're doing work with a VA, you darn sight better have a partnership with a service disabled company, or you better be one. Because if you don't, the Kingdomware decision back in 2016 says veterans first. Service disabled veterans get a bonus, which means that they can even price higher, and it never even gets to you. It'll never get to you. There's 10,000, almost 20,000 veteran-owned companies. It'll never get to the small business. It won't even get to 8A unless it's an 8A that is service disabled. So Rafael Marrero, you also help with business financing, which everybody needs, but socioeconomic certifications, helping people get their capabilities statement and making them look good. That's your job, right?
That's right. And the branding component, Dave.
This is self-serving for Rafael. Rafa, please help me. I need to get socioeconomic certified. I need certifications. I need help with my capabilities and my SAM record. Everybody needs help with their SAM record. They think that they're in good shape, but there you go. And what about branding, capabilities, slide deck, and web presence? You can do all of those. And something else, please call me. So capabilities, socioeconomics, who needs help from Rafael? How much does it cost to talk with you, Raphael, for your initial consultation?
20-minute consult free of charge.
0. My favorite 4-letter word is free. There you go. But you also do boot camps, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
We have these immersion boot camps, and they are fantastic and a lot of fun.
How do you say that in Espanol?
Fantástico, fabuloso.
Fantástico. All right, we'll give you another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's it for that. And look, that's what's coming to you. So we'll make sure we reach out and we'll schedule that for you. So now, in addition, you have preferred contracting vehicles, and GSA may happen to be a preferred contracting vehicle for some of these folks. And you can also use your pricing from GSA to establish BPAs, or blanket purchase agreements, where they can buy from you over and over and over and over and over again without it ever hitting the street for anybody else to see. It's a beautiful, beautiful tool. And I thought it used to take forever to get them, but they can get them just like that if they like you. Just saying, if they need it and they like it, boom, you're in business. So with that, preferred contracting vehicle being GSA, what are they? They are the purchasing mechanism. It's like a menu of services, right, Jamie?
Absolutely. An approved menu of services that you've already been through the approval process of. So from there, any buyer, any end user you're working with, they know that you've got an approved solution that's ready to go through. And not only that, if it goes the route of GSA, that means you must have GSA as a supplier in order to participate. It's a good guy club kind of thing. And it's important to know that because that's what helps control the quality of what goes on within the world of GSA.
And they're tightening up on that as well.
Absolutely.
And so the question is, can you get one? And the one requirement that I know for sure is you have to be in business for how long, Jamie?
2 years or longer from your date of incorporation.
From your date of incorporation, you have to have invoices to support doing business so that your pricing can be validated. Correcto?
Absolutely, yes. You have to be able to substantiate that it's not what you can do or what you could bring to the government. It's what you are doing, and not with the government necessarily, but with any open commercial client, and they have invoices to prove that, to show you have substance and staying power within the industry in order to serve the federal government with your own GSA schedule.
And I'm going to throw in one thing, and that is don't price yourself by what your competitors are doing. Price it by how you make money and support it that way. You can always discount later, but you can never go over your number. So if you put something in for $10 and you are only making 2 cents, you can't make it $11 so that you're now making 10% profit. But if you put it in $11, you can always discount to 10.
Exactly.
Little free advice there. All right, Jamie, please help me. I need help. I need help with my GSA contract. I have a GSA contract that needs some updating. How many people have that, Jamie Zell? A lot, right?
It is super common. We find people all the time that back themselves into new opportunities. Their pricing isn't current and correct, and they need it changed yesterday. So be on top of that and be pre-planning to make sure your stuff is correct before you come to the table.
Yep. And if you want a GSA contract, now some people already had a GSA contract and lost it, and that happens sometimes, but you can help them on that as well. So we give you another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom. So there you go. You got 6733. All right, so we'll hide that. Okay, next up, once you do all this stuff, I like this pre-filled form, just so you know. I don't know if you do this or not, Greg, but I love doing this. And this is showing the contracting officers what a purchase looks like in their world. Standard form 1445 being one of those. They have to copy and paste in order to put stuff in, but it shows them that you know what they're looking at. And there's multiple standard forms, so know which ones they use first before you give it to them. But the other part is professionally responding to RFIs and RFPs. Important to do.
Just going back to what you were talking about a moment ago, as far as what do you say when you're in front of somebody, and when my clients say, you know, I have a meeting with this agency, what should I talk about? And among a million other things is you need to let them know what's different about you, and then, as you say, educate them on why that's important. And so that's a big thing that I stress.
Yep, that's perfect. And when you're responding for RFIs or RFPs, you don't want to look like you wrote it on a napkin. You actually want to know what you want to make it look like you know what you're doing. And there's a method to the madness, isn't there, Greg?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They tell you what they want, and they're going to tell you how they want you to provide it. And if they get it and it doesn't look like that, it's a lot of them don't look like that. So give it to them the way the evaluators are expecting.
Exactly. And some people are saying, just respond to what I wrote. That's what don't tell me about all the rest of the fluffy stuff. Tell me how you're going to respond to what I wrote. And then there's other people, depending if you have good conversations with people, they'll tell you that what it would be to be excellent. And we talked about that with the Department of Commerce. So with that, you can reach out to Greg, because Greg can help you with your proposal writing. And you can also tell us to say, hey, Greg, help me. I need help. Well, a lot of people need professional help. I'm just saying, but with proposal writing, that needs to be you have something that needs to be written right now. You need to get set up so you can respond in September. Because if you're not set up to respond early, when the September stuff comes in, you'll be chasing your tail, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Or finding opportunities.
And it's also about coming to me if you want help finding opportunities for this.
Yep. Finding opportunities and on beta.SAM.gov, and there's other places too, and you can help them with that as well. So with that, we're going to give you another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can, oh man, everybody's jumping on now. Give you another half a second. All right, half a second's up. 80-40, there you go. I don't know who does the numbers here with the GoToWebinar, but hey, 84. And we also have with Liz DeRosa. She can help you with your coaching. 2 weeks of video calls, action, growth items, LinkedIn messaging. Very important to get your stuff together on LinkedIn. And that's the #1 place, right, Liz?
Absolutely.
So there
Absolutely.
you go.
And go ahead.
Okay. That's all right.
Just shout out for Liz.
Well,
Sorry.
and the people in the government check their emails. They open the emails, they click on your website. You use a CRM, you can see what they're doing, right? You see what message, are getting through to them, and you just have to put yourself out there so they know you exist.
And I'll let you give a shout out in a minute, Sally, but I will tell you that there's a couple of people that I can only get to in the government with LinkedIn, because I send emails and it goes to their junk, but the LinkedIn doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, Sally, give a shout out.
I was just going to say, Liz has been really instrumental. She's been on several calls with clients that I have. And the one thing that I personally learned is I was one of those people, I get a lot of people linking or clicking who I don't know. And Liz said, link in with everyone. And if you're afraid to give your phone number, put your Google number. So in my LinkedIn, I have my Google number, which was brilliant, because now they can reach me, but it's not my own, cell phone number. So just one of the many things I've learned from, the amazing Liz.
That's some good advice right there. Little way to do that. So with that, you can reach out to Liz. There's her information, info@lizderosa.com. That's a direct now. Is that your Google number? Is that and one thing I will add is that we're doing do it yourself. If you want to market to the federal government, it's the last chance to do this for this fiscal year. A lot of folks are jumping on this. So top 250, top 500, if you want a full market essentials light, we can give all the contacts that are buying in your space, including feeders. We call feeders if they're buying something that goes along with what you sell. We can identify those people. We do last 60-day push. We can do introductory campaigns, which we talked about earlier. You can reach out to us for that. If you're not sure if you want to be in the federal market space, and I just talked to somebody before we jumped on this, and I said, you don't belong here. They do promotional items, and they just do not belong. And I said, I'm sorry, it's not a place for you to be. One-man shop, very difficult, very difficult to they said, well, what if we did it and you did it on, develop your GSA contract on commission. How you like that, Jamie? Because that's not how this play works, and it's okay. It's okay if you don't want to stay here, but if you want to know for sure, you go to isifederal.com and get that. And with that, 78 days is wrong. It's only 50. 1.4 trillion, 2.3 trillion in stimulus, 81% of new contracts last 90 days. Check out QuickFuse, QUIKFUSE.com if you have a GSA contract. If you don't, you can't use it because it's only for GSA schedule holders to let you know about opportunities that are hitting right away. So you can check that out. Jamie Zell, you can reach out to Jamie at GSAlogic.net. You can reach out to Greg at G Clark with an E at DKAHome.com. You can reach out to Rafael Marrero at Rafael Marrero. Very self-serving web address there, Rafael.
It's called branding.
It's branding. Branding, like getting your ducks in a row. I wonder who has that logo. Very good. Liz DeRosa, info at LizDeRosa.com. Sally White, who I didn't do anything for except for sap her all of her knowledge and capabilities. Reach out to Sally. She can help you. Sally at EchoWolf.Solutions. I like that, by the way, .Solutions. And there's a lot of really cool web addresses that are available with a new ending. So, and I love the artwork as well. Check out ISI Federal on YouTube. Link in with me and Liz, because Liz, she's probably going to see that anyway because she's looking at all my LinkedIn stuff, making sure I don't do anything stupid. So there you go. September 8th, Success 2020 last shot. We'll be back here, and we'll see you next month on whatever that is, September 8th. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. It was a great time. Thanks, Sally. Really appreciate it. Dr. Marrero, as usual. Jamie Zell, as usual, and Greg Clark and Liz. Love you all, you guys. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
See you guys.